before I actually play the intro. So
Okay.
we're live right now, and I need to do all my little sound checks and stuff.
Okay.
You know, on the platform as it's cooking. You know what I'm saying, before we hit the buttons and make everything work.
Right, because I haven't hit stream to my audience yet.
Yeah. All right. Because I
I can hear that.
you did.
It sounded like a beat or something. A bu- bu- bu-
It,
bu- 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 bu-
yeah. That was supposed to be a machine gun. So that was supposed to be the little machine gun noise on the little box that I bought. But yeah, we're about to get busy in a second. I'm gonna hit the intro, and we're gonna start cooking. You know what I'm saying? Let the Facebook group know. Whatever reason my plugins got knocked out. Um, you know, and things have just been kind of flaky with all this bad weather. Like how you and your people been doing, you know what I'm saying, in this inclement weather here in Texas. I'm gonna hit the intro and I'm gonna come back and then we're gonna get busy. Hey folks, welcome to a special episode of Code Talk. I am your host, uh, Victor Vinziant. You already know who it is. You a subscriber. You've been here. You know it's gonna be a great conversation. So hang around. Welcome to a special edition of Code Talk. And I'm your host, Victor Vinziant, with Accountable Masculinity here on the Accountable Masculinity platform. And I have with me a special guest today, and she goes by Titi Ladette. She is an accomplished and published author of over 6 books. She has a stage play that she's going to break down and talk about. She has a story that everybody can relate to, and if not relate to, be inspired by it. And I can't wait for her to grace the platform and balance out any type of conversation that only has this perspective that Accountable Masculinity shares, and for her to add her sauce to the conversation. So, with that being said, whenever she's ready, you guys are there. Look, that's what I'm talking about. Like, just popped up like a genie. Yeah, go ahead and unmute and go ahead and talk to the audience. You know what I'm saying, and tell them about yourself.
Hello, everybody. For those who do not know, my name is Trina Titi Ladette Cleveland. Now, most everybody calls me TT. TT is the universal black word for auntie. so, yeah, so I am Titi Ladette. That is my stage name and my pen name. And thank you so much for your wonderful introduction, Victor, because you really you hit it on the nail. I do a lot of things. My platform that I'm speaking from tonight is my magazine and radio talk show platform. It is Girl Boss Talk Radio Talk Show. But I also have a magazine, which is Girl Boss Talk Magazine. It is a quarterly publication. It comes out in printed and digital formats. So I'm always looking for girl bosses to interview, to talk to. And we talk about the total woman, not just, women in business, because technically, if you are a woman that stays at home, you are a manager. You manage a business. You manage your household. And so it is just for the everyday woman. It's whether you're in business, whether you're a student, whether you're an artist, whether you're an advocate. If you're a girl and you're doing this thing, I want to talk to you. So that's what I do. And again, Victor, I want to thank you for having me tonight. I am so honored to be here. I think you are a king. I have learned a lot. We've had 3 and 4 hour conversations.
Yeah.
I don't even talk on the phone like that. So, like, but
Yeah,
you have really kind of enlightened me to a few things. I hope I have broadened your perspective on a few things, and that's what this is about. It is just really growing and learning from each other. So, I just again want to thank you for having me on.
man. When you come across a real one,
Yeah,
you put your real ones in position. You know what I'm saying? And you do for them as you would have someone do for you.
right on.
And I think that at this stage of where most people are in the content creator space, whether you write books or what I'm saying, create plays, writing the pen has so much more power than what people probably can really understand. And we are part of that transition where we make the pen work for us, you know,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
um, we don't have to be shy about it.
No.
And because the pen tells the truth, like you take the pen away, anybody can make up anything, right? But with that pen, even if you create fiction, it comes from truth. Truth is the foundation of the power in the pen.
Right.
So I believe my platform is um, dedicated to media literacy. So I want to bring smart people, you know, that value, I'm saying, healthy information, great perspective, healing, everything that's on the right side of discipline. I want to bring that to the conversation because discipline doesn't mean what everybody thinks it means, as
Right.
we've had these, like these 3 and 4 hour conversations where we've gotten to know each other, respect each other's mindsets, and put our experience on the table in the conversation and figure out, hey, you know what, that I can learn from, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? We should be confirmation for each other at this stage in our journey in life. Like we should be refining things that we already understand. So, um, I'm glad that you took the time out to come to the platform and tell your story, and let's get to it, man. Because like we
Let's
got an
get
interesting
to it.
topic, and I appreciate that you brought a topic because
Yeah,
what it's like to always be the one that wants to create something, but not knowing if you could carry the conversation, or if you're gonna have the balance in the conversation where you're not carrying it the entire way. So I'm really interested in where you want to go with this because uh,
absolutely.
I'm
Well,
a
I
guest on my
did.
own platform today.
I did send you my video. It is the viral video. I did put it in your inbox
Okay.
for Messenger. But I want to kind of preempt this, and I want to just introduce myself with my video. A lot of people may remember it. It went viral in 2015, but God is so good. Like, the Most High is amazing. I am still like, I'm gonna say it like this. Most people, they say, get 15 minutes of fame in their lifetime. Most everyone will get 15 minutes of fame. I stretched mine out. I stretched it out. I stretched it out. So I went viral in 2015. But and really, this wasn't actually the first viral video. The first viral video was when I had my car accident. So in 2015, I had a major car accident where I broke 32 bones. And I think I told you about that, and how I had to learn how to walk all over again, all of that. But so once I went viral on Craigslist, and somebody came to Facebook to find me, and they found this video. And so this is what kind of led me. This is how I sold over 100,000 copies of my book. This is kind of what pushed it out there. So
All
without
right.
further ado, I'm gonna be quiet here.
Okay. We're gonna let the video speak and go from there.
Right on. Oh, it may I forgot. It may be it's a song on there. I don't know if it's going to.
We'll see in a minute.
All right.
let me say this, fair use, so we don't have any issues. So,
All right. Think Pink Nation King.
hey, hey, look, you can't get a better intro than that.
What it
You
is.
know, that's what, that's why I talk about the pen. The pen is so important
Right.
because all of that you had to sit down
And write
and
it.
really write it and really be honest about what you were writing and
Right.
say as much. There's a lot packed into each one of those flashcards. There's a lot packed into each one of those nuggets of information,
Right.
and I know that it's gonna come out over time. And when I see um, honesty like that, I respect it as wisdom because you can't you can't shame somebody for what they've already overcame, and it's not nothing that anybody else is going to volunteer to go do. You know what I'm saying? And to do what? To say they did it better than you, you know? So you got
Say
every,
that.
hey, come on now, you know what I'm saying? I like to call those unhealthy competitions. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like, let's not compare our traumas. Let's not
Right.
do that. Like,
I call them testimony haters.
yeah, like you know,
But
because
yeah, absolutely. And I also just want to kind of just briefly say that even with that video, I was that the reason I had sent it to you initially was to show you because you kind of met me through the unfiltered stories video. And
yes,
I wanted to show you the difference, like if you can see the power, like, and I was talking about, which is going to probably lead us into our conversation tonight, victim versus volunteer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we're talking about the I think for context, I think you and I started talking about, or we were having deeper conversations regarding the P. Diddy and Cassie debacle,
yes,
and I was telling you that I felt like maybe we had two different perspectives because I've been both of them. I have been
hmm,
both the villain and the victim. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And when you've been both, you kind of look at things differently. And I am the female. I am the weaker counterpart. You know what I'm saying? I am the
hmm,
female. So even in what I've done, like I just wanted to like just really kind of discuss this because um I don't want I loved I love your accountable masculinity thing, right?
hmm,
And I love the word accountability because that is like that's it. That's what I did in that video. That's what I do every day and really that's what you do when you write and you live what you write. You are taking accountability for what you've written. And so basically I want to take accountability in everything that I do. And so uh I don't want to be the type of woman that because I'm going to tell you, I feel like even when I was telling you, we look at all these different crime shows. They have a show called For My Man, right? And it's always the woman has the sob story, right? Where she did this for her man. And I'm sitting up here looking at it like this. Girl, you did that for you. You
you
know
did it
what
for
I'm saying?
you.
Yeah,
Stop.
they need to change the show title to For Me and My Niggas up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like you did that for you like
right.
where so I believe that accountability plays a really really big part even with females, right?
Hmm,
But even in saying that, there comes a time where, like I said, nobody should have to fear for their life to leave a relationship. Now I don't care, the buck stops there. you know and yeah, nobody should have to fear their life to leave a relationship. And
nobody.
so I really just kind of wanted to get into the thick of that and just talk about maybe some of your thoughts and how you feel. What do you see? Because when you explain accountability to me and accountable masculinity to me, what how do you view P. Diddy when you're looking through the accountable masculinity eyes?
Well, through that lens, and I appreciate the question because what accountable masculinity is, it's a line in the sand, and it's based on discipline, you know, and a lot of people think discipline and they hear punishment or they hear something negative, but discipline is just simply knowing the right thing to do and choosing the right thing to do. You know, like just because you can doesn't mean you should. all money ain't good money, right? So it's the same simple, like flip of the switch in the mind to make the right decision. And I view Diddy as a sexually undisciplined man. And generally speaking, I believe sexually undisciplined men and women are untrustworthy people. It's really that simple. And because like you can only judge people by what they do. If actions speak louder than words,
Hmm.
then what are you saying when you're doing something? You know? And
Right.
so when we pay attention to what people do, then you got all of the indicators to make a decision, of how you're going to deal with that person. Because like what people don't like to talk about and be honest about is that everyone judges everybody. But the thing is, you got to make a positive or a negative judgment. The everybody has someone that they don't let in their house because they know they steal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you let Diddy in your house, you might get your booty stole. And it don't even matter what your gender is. You know what I'm saying?
And I
So
think
like,
that's called a judgment call because
it's
there's
a
a
judgment
difference.
call.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
judgment has
judgment
to
call
be.
because really judgment means what your fate should be, and I can't decide what your fate should be. That's when you're trying to judge somebody. That's
Well,
judging somebody when you try to decide what their fate should be. Well, you did this, so you should go to hell. You did this, so you should go to
yeah,
jail. That's judging somebody, but everybody makes judgment calls. So I totally agree with you, King.
yeah.
Totally agree with you.
All you could do is base your decision making off of what people show you, and you
Right.
can't act surprised and believe that you was exempt if they've done it. And there's been a pattern. If there's a pattern of behavior associated with the particular individual, you don't get to be a victim. You know what I'm saying? Especially when people are telling you that, hey, watch yourself. This person gets down this way. People tell you straight out, hey, uh, be careful with this particular individual. You don't get to be a victim. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you have equity in your situation. And I'm not saying nobody deserves to be mistreated just because they make a bad decision, but there's a toll to be paid. There's always a toll to be paid. And depending on the individual, the cost may vary. You know what I'm saying? And again, all money ain't good money. And if you pursue a certain quality of life, there's going to be a trade-off. If you take the straight and narrow, it's going to be hard because if you got, I wrote something the other day and I said, hey, if you know what you want, it's not going to be easy to get.
Right.
That is the most
Right.
that like when I wrote that and I sat there and thought about it because I know everything that I want to accomplish, right? And because it's clear in my mind and it's fresh on the tip of my fingers, you know what I'm saying, when I'm writing or when I got my pen, that doesn't mean that it's sitting there, you know what I'm saying, jumping up and down and waiting for me to
You
go
you
get it.
know how I know that statement is true? You know how I know I know everything you want is not easy to get. You know how I know that's true?
How
Because if
come?
it was that easy to get, you'd already have it.
Yeah, I've been
You
at
wouldn't
it.
even be wanting it. You wouldn't
Everybody
even be
had
wanting
it.
it. You
Yeah,
wouldn't even be wanting it.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I like that.
So
Absolutely.
so I think that like I wake up around like 2:45, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have these simple affirmations that that drive what I do. And because there's a lot of clones, there's a lot of copycats, it's a lot of you know unoriginal people that like they have more creativity of how they're gonna steal from you than they do creativity of how they're gonna create something
Can you play your
original to
sound
themselves.
effects for that one? Say that one more time.
They-
Rewind and play the
these
sound
people,
effects. Have
there's
more
a bunch.
creativity and how they gonna steal from you.
And how
Play
they
the
gonna
sound
stay, like people are very creative of how they're gonna steal from you. Very creative. And if they took let it bubble, you know, because and then they will take an elaborate route to convince you
It was their
that
idea in the first
it was
place.
their idea in the first place and you took it from them. And and I think and that's kind of the way I look at like bringing it back to Diddy. I believe that there are men and women that are clones. And what I mean, not even in the you know what I'm saying, that clone Tyrone conversation, but a lot of us, you know how they say all skin folks ain't kin folks? That's, to me,
Mhm.
that's a clone-ish conversation. And when you
You think
start
it was kind
looking,
of Jeffrey Epsteinish?
yeah, exactly. Like there's a version of
What do you?
every a level of sexual deviance or undisciplined behavior in every demographic of people, all the way across the board. And with entertainers and athletes and celebrity culture, we get to see examples of it that have the most affluent access, the broadest networks, whatever you want to call it. They got the most of the most. And I believe celebrity culture, and I wrote about this in my third book, Accountable Masculinity, is that I believe it's one of the things that has Black people in a chokehold. You know
It
what I'm
does.
saying?
It does.
I
It does.
personally believe that, and you know, I don't care what other people think about that. This is how I operate in the world, and I make note of the impact and the influence that they have, and what they do with their influence determines how disciplined they are. Think about everything that he could be doing, and think about what he chooses to do.
Hmm.
What you do in your off time is it reflects your discipline. You just perform it. But who you really are comes out in your behavior and who you impact.
And I think what you said that was very poignant is when you said that how social media and celebrities and all of this, all of it pretty much has the culture in a chokehold. Our people, our communities, our people, period, our nation in a chokehold. And I'm gonna mainly say it in the way that with the celebrity thing, like I tell people all the time, I go in and out the matrix. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
I have to work, I have to make a living, I have to make my money, but I always come back. I disconnect. I make sure to disconnect. And one of the things is because, for one thing, most of us, a lot of us, many of us, the majority of us will never ever even experience the type of wealth some of these celebrities have had, like
Yeah.
the Diddy. Well, so for some of us to compare ourselves or compare our situations, we can't compare the situations. The situations are incomparable.
No,
You
these
know,
people are exceptions of the exception.
yeah,
You ain't Diddy.
you're not.
And
And
and,
and,
and
and I'm not Cassie, and then I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to say this because I think one of the conversations, because I'm a woman, I don't like to really harp on men stuff because I'm a woman, and although I'm a single female, and I think you and I talked about with the single female, today's single female, and I'm not a modern woman. I don't consider myself to be a modern woman, but I'm a single female, so that means I have to take on a lot of masculine roles because I have
yeah, the
to.
world don't make you feminine. It
Yeah,
make you masculine. It
yeah,
don't.
it does. It does. Well, it makes the women masculine, and then we know what it does with our
It
men.
makes
Yeah.
everybody masculine.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't think so. I think it effeminizes our men. And now I'm gonna say that. I
Fair.
think it actually effeminizes our men. We got men packing purses, wearing skirts, wearing fingernail polish. No, it effeminizes our men and
Talk about
emasculizes.
it.
Yeah, I think that's what I really believe. And at the end of the day, it's all about, it's gonna lessen what procreation, because that's what we're put on this earth to do. So that's a whole
Mhm.
nother subject for a whole nother day.
Right.
But even in, just being a single woman, like I said, I know I have like a very harsh standpoint, but I'm very clear. I'm very clear on who I am, and I have been through enough. I've experienced enough, and I've lived long enough so that I feel that who I am is a value. I'm a value to this world. I'm a value to my community. I'm a value to your platform. You know what I'm saying? You are value
Yes.
to me, but I'm a value to this thing that we call the world. And even when I think about I think one of the things that we talked about was the Cassie thing, because um I believe our conversation was about P. Diddy's sons and his children, and how, and I need to tell you, because I'm a mother that is disconnected from my children. Y'all saw my story. I've
Mhm.
lost my children many times due to my undisciplined lifestyle, due to my undisciplined choices, due to, you know, and really at the end of the day, I can call it what I want to call it. And that's what I love about being accountable today, because I could say, you know, I was on drugs and I didn't know no better. And I didn't. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
didn't. But, you know, at some point, you know, and so, because like I said, at some point when you know better, you do better. And when you do better, it does get better. So I'm just saying, when it comes to Cassie and the whole Diddy thing, his children and what they're experiencing and everything, that the whole debacle, I look at how everybody has a role in this. Everybody plays a role in this. Even Cassie, who is also a victim, has played a role in it because she began as a volunteer. And I think I read one of your posts that said, "What does selling your soul look like?" And basically, and I think when we were talking in our conversation, we were talking about P Diddy's kids, and you were saying, well, those boys are 25, they're gonna grow up one day, they're gonna grow out of it, whatever, whatever. And I feel like the same way is with women, and I think that at this point, and I think the reason I'm using this couple as the man and the woman, as the demon, the villain, the victim, the volunteer, because they all are intertwined. It's how we are in society, and we have to find a way to connect. The accountable masculine has to meet the accountable feminine. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we have to make accountable decisions, and we have to come together to have a better, and really, because like I think we even talked about how a lot of us are set in our ways. A lot of us are those, we grown, we can't tell us nothing, but we still have these children. We still have our young people. We still have the people that are going to carry this nation when we're long and gone. And what are we saying to them? What representations are we leaving here for them? What is this whole thing with, you know it's just the way the world is going. And I want to find a way to lessen my masculine responsibilities. But aside of, for me, aside of
Yeah.
me dumbing down, you know what I mean? Aside of me dumbing down, like, because I already know it's like the average guy, I'm not gonna do the average guy. The average guy ain't gonna do me. I just don't feel like that. I
Yeah.
feel like, and I'm not saying average in what you do and what you have. I'm talking about in mindset.
In
You know
mindset.
what I
Yeah.
mean? In
Yeah.
mindset, you know. So
Yeah. I
I know I
think we
said
are
a
just
lot.
I think we are just such a crossroad, because I look at things in the spans of time. Some people look at day to day, month to month. I look at year to year, almost. Like what did it feel like 5, 6, 7 years ago compared to now? You know what I'm saying? And everybody's got a unique take on that, right? And honestly, when you think about the foreign conflicts, the economics, like dealing with the housing market, just the financial strain that everybody's feeling at the same time, um, families growing up and growing away from each other, you becoming your own individual, and thinking that stuff is changing. And if you're not changing, then are you getting left behind? And now we're at I think we're at a crossroad. We have so much information, um, where people just got to choose a side, because it's too easy to go get anything you want. There's a lot of instant gratification out there, which is what I call Instagram is instant gratification. You can get whatever you want from any place at the click of a mouse, or a couple of thumb taps on a smart device of your choice. Um, and everybody, to me, in the media space, because that's where I like to have my most impact. I see people choosing, what I'm saying, negative things to be influenced by. I wrote something in my first book about, I wrote an analogy basically comparing, like there was a lot of people talking about the Second Amendment. It was always a big deal dealing with politics. You know what I'm saying? They're going to take your guns away. They're going to,
That's
do all of this and that, right? And one of the things I talked about dealing with it was, you know, ownership of a weapon, and using a weapon. It's not the same thing, because you don't have to own something to use it, right? Well, with social media is similar to the same situation. If you can only operate and use social media up to your ability to understand how to use social media. Your level of media literacy is going to
Mm,
determine your experience when you use social media.
real
So
talk.
if you've been using it for 10, 15 years and you're just using it for to consume information, then at some point your outcomes are going to reflect what you consume. So when we sit back and we take in a lot of information that is centric to our own biases, we never get out of our own way. We never want to sit back and figure out how people played a role in their own outcome. You know what I'm saying? We have to find new language to use without disrespecting those that are actual victims, without disrespecting those that deserve more attention for their situation. And it's happening it's always historically happened with women. And and now I'm starting to see more disciplined women say, hey, no, you can't be out here doing that and then expecting support. Like last year, we had the Brick Lady. You know what I'm saying? We had Carly Russell. We had you name it. You know what I'm saying? People just wasting folks' empathy, wasting people's empathy, not necessarily their money and their time. Because I get it. Yeah, you can have the taxpayer thing, but I want to talk about the intangible energy that people actually use to connect and relate to each other. Like I can spend some money with you, you can spend some money with me. That's just a transaction. That's not. I mean, yeah, it's business to a degree, but connection requires empathy, and that's a balance between sympathy and empathy. You know, like I may not like, for instance, like your story. I sympathize with it, but I didn't go through that, so there's no way I can completely empathize with it. And the difference is very important because I don't want you to feel like your story isn't important to me. It is, because I can learn from that, because you represent a group, a demographic of women that know better and is telling women to do better. And I'm not here to correct women. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to represent the best version of man that I am. And if other men can empathize with that, then hopefully we can connect and we can do great work and then add value to the spaces that that we get invited to. We don't need to force our way into nothing at this stage, because people are making the choices that put them either on the side of discipline or undisciplined. You are further away from what you're trying to accomplish in life when you choose an undisciplined decision.
Right.
Period. If you connect with undisciplined people, you can't be shocked if you have to take an alternative route to get to your end goal. If
Absolutely.
if that route is permissive enough for you to make it to the end of it too. So we all choose an alternative endings by the decisions we make and the people that we connect with, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I also want to say, and I love what you were talking about, how, the empathy versus the sympathy, and really, and I try to do the same thing with my platforms. Every platform I have, Girl Boss Talk. Like I said, the magazine, the radio talk show, it is focused on women. My motto for Girl Boss Talk is grown women don't do drama. We do business. And that's just what it's about. It's really straight business. And like I said, it is not literal business, but everything that we do pretty much is business. We manage our household, we manage our children, we manage our lives, we manage. We are the managers. We manage. We put everything in place. We decorate. We fix everything. We
You're the
organize.
administrators.
Yeah, we
You're
are
the
the
administrators.
administrators. And so and I wanted to do the girl boss talk because I said that I had to put a girl in there. I have to put girl there, because I don't want to be so bossed up that I forget that I'm a girl still. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
where that came from. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you one of the things that, and I love that accountability. I just keep going back to that because again, that's where it took me from video to video. I see my accountability change. I see me going from victim to from volunteer to victim to being victorious. You know what I'm saying? And walking in this thing and meaning this thing and living this thing. You know, and this is what it is, and this is my path, and like really being okay with it. You know, but I will say this. At the end of the day, I think that women, I think as women, we have to learn to do better. You know, it
Yeah,
is more women than it is men. You know
it
what I'm saying?
is,
It's more women than it is men. You know,
and that's for a reason.
yeah,
And if if like if you just took the fact that it is more women than men, right? What's the purpose of having more women than men?
because
Like,
we're administrators. We
yeah,
are we are the nurses. We are the, you know, our men go to war. We are the ones that they can't take care of the home front. We are, that's who we are. You know. Um, I don't plan on going to war, so I don't plan. I don't want to be out there. I don't want to be out there. I already got to fight the zombies by myself as it stands. So I'm
yeah,
trying to, you know, get connected real soon because I'm not trying to fight the zombies by myself. You know,
right,
I
yeah,
want to be here and bring you your towel when you come in for
right,
fighting the zombies.
right.
You know.
Yo, yeah, that's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh,
I believe, like, like um in an abstract sense, I believe there's more women than men because the women supposed to run the village and the men supposed to lead the tribe. And you can't have, you know what I'm saying, leaders meet at the summit because everybody can't go. Ain't no room at the top, but for the people that's supposed to be there, not the people that want to be there, the people that's supposed to be there, the people that do the work to get in a position to have equity in the conversation, equity in the decision making, the people that's willing to not get any credit and really, you know what I'm saying, see it through no matter what. They don't do it for fame. They don't do it for that. They do it because it need to be done. Or you just sit back and complaining, you know. And people that complain aren't helpful. I've never seen anybody solve problems with just complaints. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't use negative reviews unless you're going to use them to improve. You know what I'm
or the
saying?
problem for every solution.
Yeah,
I
if
got a
you got a
solution,
problem for
but I
every
got a
solution,
problem. A
yeah,
problem
you
for every,
got. Do you have critiques or do you have criticisms?
right.
Critiques are things that I can take note of and make adjustments. And the next time I, you know what I'm saying, try that same task or whatever it was, I can say, okay, when I made the left the last time on the critique, it said make the right this time. I'll make
Right.
it, give me a chance to make an adjustment. But like if you just got criticisms and like and nothing behind that, and it's backhanded, it's disingenuous, we don't need you.
Right.
Those people to me that don't help, they are hurtful and unhelpful people and generally undisciplined. You know what I'm saying? And it that mindset is part of every other thing that they do because it doesn't just come out in one thing. If you generally are untrustworthy in, you know what I'm saying, with, I don't know, with certain specific responsibilities, I don't know, maybe cars, maybe kids, maybe something along those lines that we can all agree on is very important to be responsible with.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big difference being untrustworthy and irresponsible. Because like you could have a lapse in judgment on one moment, you know what I'm saying, and have an irresponsible moment. But undisciplined is the way that you think. It's the way that you process something. Like, remember I talked about being creative to go take somebody else's stuff? Undisciplined people are creative about not following through. They'll give you every reason why they couldn't show up. They'll have, it's always somebody else's fault. It's always something outside of their personal level of accountability,
Right.
and nothing is their fault. And it's never about what they could have done to make a better decision, or just saying, you know what, I made a mistake this time, it won't happen again, and saying it out loud and putting it in the atmosphere the same way that they believe that the universe gives them every opportunity as well, and every day you have a chance to be a little bit more disciplined than the day before. It's that morning where, man, I didn't want to get up this morning, you know, and I did. I had to get up to go make better decisions with my life,
Right.
because ain't nobody gonna come do it for me.
No.
That's just what it is. So we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our future self to take care of what's going on right here in the present. And this is something I tell myself every day. I ain't perfect. You know what I'm saying? This ain't about being perfect. This is about being a little bit better than you was than the last breath that you took. Because you all got an opportunity. All of us do, and we all have to work. Man, look, all of us need to go to therapy. Like
I
some of
go.
us do. But I think, like, I try to use my platform as almost like group therapy. Everybody come talk about what they see and what they're trying to work on. You know what I'm saying? Because I guarantee you, the majority of people that watch this platform, they got something they got to work on too.
Everybody does.
Everybody does. Everybody that wants something in life does. Because there's some people that don't care. They stuck. But take me through. Give me an idea of, like, what do you think going forward for the rest of this year, since we already here at this moment in time, right? Name 3 things that women can change right now that don't require any money, no programs, or none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Something to just say, hey, be serious about you. 3 things that women can do right now that you would recommend from your perspective.
I got it. The first thing is to create your own daily schedule, your own personal program, your own operation of procedures. I tell people I live my life 12 weeks at a time. I have a daily calendar. I keep my calendar daily. I journal. I journal, and from my journal I go to my calendar. So it is all I make me my first priority every morning. Me and the God of my understanding. First of all, let me say that I connect with God first thing. So I would say spiritually first. I take that back. Spiritually first. Number 2 is you. Make sure you have your own personal program. I have my own personal program. And then number 3, something that doesn't cost money that women can work on right now is so I said journaling, um, uh, planning your life, planning your days, learning a new skill. I tell people all the time. I created my business with God, Google, and YouTube. I got a T-shirt that say that too, by the way, and I'm gonna put my links up so y'all can go to buy my merch too. I'm a comedian too, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. Hey, look, we gonna look. Give me all your links, and you know what I'm saying.
I'm a comedian too. So
Yeah, like,
I'm a stand-up comedian. But no, I was gonna say though, like literally learn a new skill, man. Learning a new skill. I created my businesses. Everything I learned how to publish, but everything I learned how to do, I learned with God, Google, and YouTube. You know what I mean? And it's nothing. It costs me nothing. It costs me
God,
nothing but
Google,
my
and
time.
YouTube.
I got a T-shirt. That's why I told them go to my website, get the shirt.
Yeah,
I'm
God,
also
Google,
put a
and
link to
YouTube.
my book in here. Yeah, and so yeah, but I'm gonna be teaching everybody how to publish their own books too. So I got some stuff coming out, got some comedy shows coming up, and of course I'm bringing a stage play to Midland, Texas in September. So I'll be back down there June 29th to do a casting call. So I stay busy, man. I work on me and my relationship with God, and I'm just stacking my paper, acting like I'm broke.
Yeah. Hey, look,
No, it ain't no act. It ain't no act.
it ain't no act though. It ain't no act. Hey, the 3 things, like, I got 5. Like, everybody's got to have some kind of standard. Like you said, like, I like what you said, standard operating procedure. And I'm a veteran, so, like, that language, you know what I'm saying, it hits a lot of notes for me. But it's not limited to just being in the military. Like any place that's got a lot of people operating in it, they have to operate underneath some sort of, you know what I'm saying, standardized procedure. So you can't do your own thing because it's not about you. It's just not. So that means you need to have your own policy that regulates you, that keeps you in balance. And nobody has to agree with it. Nobody has to like it, and nobody can correct you on what you know is for you. And something is better than having nothing. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Also, I don't know if you shout people out and that are on your making comments, but you got quite a few people that are commenting. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
just
I
kind of
do.
shout them out. I see Dee Dee Red Temple, Kavi
Yeah,
Wallace is in the house. My cousin Adrian A. Michelle Anderson Green is in the house.
yeah,
My friend, my homegirl is Michelle. Uh, she's in the house, and then I think Gino Reyes. You got quite a
yeah,
few people across the table with Christopher McClellan is in
yeah,
the house. So thank you guys for joining, and thank you my people who came in to listen in and chat, and also they're commenting and stuff. So thank you guys for that. Appreciate that.
yeah. We appreciate that. Like so, like let me go to one of your people, Miss Adrian. Um, this is the part I think you was talking about, Cassie. She
Right.
was a young girl and he manipulated her. Let me say this part about the Diddy element, right? That's what sexually undisciplined men do. That's what they do. So there's also plenty of content showing Cassie being, you know what I'm saying, cool and with it, and you know what I'm saying, and adjustable and flexible. And not to mention that what she stayed with the cat, like what I it was
10
well
years.
over
It
it
was
was
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
And,
But you have
and
to you say, come on, let's get it. Let's get it. This one we're waiting on. Not this one.
yeah, like it's 10 years. You
Yeah.
know, it's a decade.
Yeah.
Uh and she wasn't the only woman that he was dealing with in that same decade.
Right.
So I get men have power, you know, like, and they have, you know, reach and stuff like that. But 10 years is a long time in a
His
high
reach was
level of
crazy.
visibility.
But I
What?
think, and that's what Adrian was saying. She was a young
Yeah,
girl. He was 19. She was 19 years old. You have to think about a 19-year-old girl. Just I'm talking about just got out of high school. Now she's
yeah.
had some experience because she was already in that
She
life.
was she was she was with Ryan Leslie before she was
Yeah,
with
she
Diddy.
was. And she had done all kind of stuff. So there's no telling. Like she was brought into that life. But still, at 19, your brain isn't fully
Man,
developed.
this is people
Your
brain
brain,
ain't fully
your
formed and they
brain, your brain doesn't even close up fully until you're 21. And that's real talk. So a lot of
yep,
people, and I learned that because when you're doing drugs at a young age, you really are walking around brain damage. And a lot of people don't realize that. That's what's wrong with a lot of these youngsters out here. They brain damage, you know?
yep,
Your brain
yep.
doesn't even fully close till you're 21. But that's not to make an excuse, and that's just not to make anything. But that is just to say,
It's a
and that's
statement
the
of
thing.
fact.
It's a statement of fact, and then it goes back to saying what I was saying. There's something you or I will never have the ability to understand the reach he had. Talking about his reach, yeah, his reach. He blew up Kid Cudi car. What did Kid Cudi say? Kid Cudi came on and said, "Sure did." He sure
Yep,
did.
yep.
You can't leave him. And when you got the fear for your life to leave somebody like that, that's crazy. And then, yeah, in a minute she was with it for a minute, but what you gonna do?
Yeah, like
You just
there's a like I've always said this, man. Like a lot of people like to say, man, people like to blame the government for a lot of stuff, right? And we're not gonna be so green that we don't think that there's some corrupt factions within the government, you know, so however you look at it, right? But I always tell people private money is more powerful than structured government money because
all any yeah.
you're
There's
dealing with,
rules and regulations with somebody with government money. Absolutely.
it's got to be accounted for some kind of way.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no sanctions on, you know, somebody with power, ego, and you know, and a motivation to, you know what I'm saying, to conduct something, you know, heinous to someone. You can't do
Yeah.
anything about that. So I don't I don't hold too much against her, in that regard. But there's just a balance where, what I'm saying, you made some choices and decisions, and what I'm saying, you got what you got.
Yeah, what you got?
So I mean, there was plenty other women that, like, we don't even know what J Lo know, and she ain't talking about nothing. You know what I'm saying?
She trying to hold on to Ben. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, like whatever she trying.
No,
Yeah, yeah. But the bottom line is, she had, like, the most visible access that everybody saw, and when you just start seeing the pattern, that's
I'm
just
gonna ask you something. How old are you, Victor?
45.
45. Do you remember? And I remember this was years ago because you have to remember when Cassie was 19, P Diddy was 37. Know that.
Yep, yep,
Know that.
yep.
And I remember, and I can't remember how old I was, but I was still living at home. And I remember I was young enough to where I got in trouble for having the magazine in my room where he used to walk her around on a dog chain. Do you remember that? When
Oh
she had her
man.
hair, when she had her hair shaved and he had a bling collar around her
Oh, I
neck
do remember
and
that.
he
Yeah,
walked her around. You can't find that picture anywhere on the internet. That's what we're
I do
talking about
remember
when we're
that
talking about
briefly.
abuse. We're talking about abuse on a high level. On a high level, we talking about, man. Listen, we talking about something that you and I would probably have never come across. But I'm telling you it, and I say that to say, and I wanted to say all that to say that we can't compare. I mean,
No.
abuse is abuse, but we can't compare our community because, again, here we go looking at celebrities trying to pattern our life after celebrities. Every young girl is a city girl. Every young girl want to be a city girl. Every young boy want to be a rapper. It's these things that we pattern ourselves after. But, like, I don't know. I just thought it was a good conversation to have. I thought it was a way for us to kind of like just take a deeper look at some things and how we relate to each other, how we look at like you said, accountability and not being accountable. You
Yeah,
know?
like there's a way to look at it and have a conversation. And what I don't like is adversarial conversations. Like, we can both look at this thing, and we can have our opinions on it, and we got our reasons for our opinions that's based
Yeah.
off, like, your
Our
three things,
experiences,
my
yeah.
five things, or whatever else.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
And I
Absolutely.
think the way I was looking at it in the past was like, when I looked at R. Kelly and Bill Cosby situation, those things were cultural divides in our community. You know what I'm saying? So whether you look at it or not, but when you start thinking about it multidimensionally, you know what I'm saying? It's not just poop. He found some kids and then he did some stuff to them. It's not like that. They had cultivated relationships. They had logistics.
But that's
Uh,
part of it too, though. That that's part of it too. That's the other side. That's the other dimension of it. There is a lot. That is that allegation. That is
yeah,
that, and that is what those tapes are about. So there is that allegation. So not
yeah,
to say that that's what we're talking about, but so it is like and when we talking, and I'm just gonna go as far as to say this, and I'm not saying this to attack anybody or attack the man, but to me, it is so beyond being accountable. He's nowhere near accountable. Like I think I'm more disappointed than anything,
mhm.
than anything, you know.
Yeah. Like, that's why I talk. That's why I break it down when we start talking about uh sexual discipline.
Deviancy and deviancy.
I
Yeah.
mean, when I and then this is the thing. If you're on the undisciplined side, everything that's negative about you
It's gonna
is
be
on
there.
that side.
All right.
Because there's men
I
like
get you.
all men,
It clicked. It
it
clicked what you
click.
said. It clicked
Yep.
what you just said.
Because all men and all women aren't doing everything negative to each other. There's a group of disciplined men and women, and then there's a group of undisciplined men and women.
Right.
The undisciplined men and women are more likely to hurt and harm each other and abuse each other and exploit
Wow.
each other.
Yes.
The disciplined men and women want healthy outcomes.
Right.
Period.
So I
Yeah,
think it's fair to say that there was some undiscipline on both sides, and I think that's really what we were trying to say
that's always the
at the end of the day. Yeah,
that's the whole point. And it's
yeah,
like and this goes back into the entire ethos of what I believe sexual discipline is. I mean, what accountable masculinity is, right? And I started talking about discipline, right? Disciplined men and women don't make the same decisions as undisciplined men and women.
right,
They just don't. Like there are some people that grade their value by how much sexual attention they get, no matter how healthy or unhealthy it is.
right,
And then they're like undisciplined people are generally not private people. Disciplined people are generally private people. Like people like us that got stuff to do and other obligations, and we take time out to do something like this, it's got to be useful to what we already do because we got things, our time is already oriented to our creativity. And you can't do the stuff that we talk about while being undisciplined. You're not going you're not going to take it where it's supposed to go as far as it should go if you're making undisciplined decisions. If you're leading an undisciplined life, again, you are further away from your goal, leading your life with undisciplined decision making. Because again, it's already been determined. If you know what you want, it's already going to be hard to go get it. Now you know what you want. Are you going to make disciplined decisions to get closer to it? Or are you going to make undisciplined decisions and go away from it and still talking about what you want? You see what I'm saying? So the people that get caught in these situations, generally speaking, there had to be a negotiation somewhere. There had to be something. That had to be some sort of facilitation, a
agreement,
goal. Somebody saw the
agreement.
value in
Yeah,
it. And somebody came back and said, are you sure? You sure you want to do this? All right. Well, good luck to you. Couldn't be me. Or you better than me. You couldn't, we say something to that effect when we know something isn't for us. Because that's the discipline in your mind kicking in, saying that doubt, that gut feeling that we ignore or go against sometimes and still go get mishandled. We ignore our own instinctive discipline. You know what I'm saying? And even if we don't know the words, the energy don't lie. The energy tell you when you're taking a chance that's above your understanding too. That's why you don't have the words, because you don't understand it. But
right.
you know it ain't safe for you. And you don't have the words to process what you're looking at. And it takes discipline in order to stop, slow down, and say, you know what, man, let me take a nap and then look at that when I wake up. How many times you was writing when you was tired, right? And you thought you finally had that breakthrough on sewing up your idea. You take a nap and you wake up and you look at it and say, who wrote that?
How about if I'm too tired, I won't even write. I say, let me just go on and go to sleep and just
Let me
start.
just go to bed. That's the discipline part
What
of
I
you.
do, that's I got to do
I'm gonna
it.
mess up my own story. Let
I'm
me
gonna
lay
mess up
down. You know
my
what I'm
own
saying?
thing. Absolutely.
And because
That.
when you're tired, you don't tell the truth.
Take shortcuts.
You take shortcuts, and and you start imagining somebody else understanding what you were trying to communicate, but that's not it. So you have to use your words very carefully, and again, your actions have to match your words. This is what practice what you preach, right? You got to stay out the way, man. You have to, because if you don't, the the universe is gonna have its way with you. When you allow other people to make decisions, you know what I'm saying, for your outcomes, you've given your control away. And giving it away is lazy in so many ways. Everything that's on the wrong side of what you're talking about is usually undisciplined decision making. That's how simple what accountable masculinity is about. Like I said, like my 5, right? Men focus on men. You know what I'm saying? We need to focus on ourselves and the men around us that add value to us. Rule number two. And matter of fact, before I get to rule number two, rule number one again, part of men focusing on men, you have to be useful. Nobody picks up the phone to call useless people. Useless people add no value. Okay. Rule number two, men do not argue with women. Arguing in general is unproductive. Whatever arguing with women is less than that. So, no, we just need to observe each other and figure out where we can be more complementary instead of competitive in the unhealthy competitions between men and women. We can learn so much, and we can take what we both understand, and we can be each other's momentum. You know what I'm saying? When we don't think that we have it, you know? Then number three, decentralized leadership, knowing when to lead, when to follow, when to sit down, when to stand up, when to shut up, when to be quiet. Everybody needs to know that. That's how you get ahead in life, really, you know? And you got to have just a better situational awareness, and like, you don't have to be the expert. And sometimes you have to say, hey, who's better at this than I am? And let somebody else take you further, you know, with their experience, because everybody wants the same thing. We want to be cashed out for our experience. I know too much to be limited. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot to offer, and sometimes what I have to offer is better given, you know what I'm saying, than it is with me doing. Rule number four is legacy and equity. Everything you do counts. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
So going back to the discipline piece, when you make the undisciplined decision, there's a difference between making an undisciplined decision and making a mistake. An undisciplined decision is when you had the opportunity to not do that, and you chose to do it, and then it put you in a bad situation. You know what I'm saying? And now you're in the court of public opinion, and you'll never be able to get your reputation back. You know what I'm saying? Now when they say your name, they associate your name with whatever negative activity that you know what I'm saying, aligned yourself with. And it's hard to get that, you know what I'm saying, get those two disconnected, because people can make up anything about you with social media, and it's not hard to convince people that pay attention to what's going on that that's not accurate, you know? So be careful with what you
What
do.
I tell you, it's easier to fool people than it is to convince people that they've been fooled.
Man, look, so don't give them nothing.
It's easy.
Like, because if they can make up anything, you can go to bed right now and wake up tomorrow. Somebody can make up anything. I'm really careful about what I say, because even if I gave a hypothetical scenario, if they cut that sound bite out, that's who you are in this moment in time, and it ain't fair. So I'm very, very careful about how I frame what I'm talking about, you know, for that reason, because media literacy matters, you know. And more importantly, if you make a mistake, at least make a mistake while in the act of doing something helpful, because ain't nobody perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's a way big difference. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing I don't know, you could have been trying to help somebody with some groceries or something, getting them out in and out the car, and you drop something. You know what I'm saying? That's a mistake in the act of doing a kind deed. You know what I'm saying? And that happens. That's just because you're human, you know? But number five, the most important, sexual discipline. That is where men have their character castrated. They can make up anything about you in general, like I just said, right? Don't actually give them something. Don't be a Diddy. Don't,
I think we
like,
were talking about that guy that did the haircuts. I mean, that they had the little girls taking his hair down in the
yeah,
school. I think that's what we were
go
talking
cop
about
the
that as
book.
well. Yeah.
Go cop the book, folks. It's in the caption. You know what I'm saying? This thing is going to tell the story. Yeah, you see the logo, you see the name. All of that is associated with this conversation in this book from this platform. It is the inspiration. It's the foundation of it. It's not just something I just saying just because it's cool to say. It's because the more private you are, the better your life is. With what I'm saying, with certain, like
certain aspects, because I'm gonna
certain
say this,
aspects.
and I'm gonna
You
say this
can't.
because I tell my story. Let me tell you something. I tell my story on a public, very, very, but it most of my story is what I've been through, not currently what I go through. You know what I mean? It's just what I've
Right.
been through that leads me here. Most of everything that I talk about now has to have motivation behind it. If it don't have no motivation about it, there's no need
It's
to be posting it.
it's not worth the
And
mention.
then it's nothing that's gonna be private because as far as y'all know, I'm single with a man. You know what I mean? you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
single
yeah,
with a man, broke but rich, that kind of thing. But yeah, so yeah, I get it. I love it.
yeah. So like that's the intent, man. Like I think everybody's like list that three things, they five things, whatever it might be, it still echoes the same philosophy. You're choosing discipline, setting a procedure, setting something that you can count off. You're being very intentional about what's important to you to produce the best version of you. That is a disciplined mindset. You know what I'm saying? And it's no different than when you talk about like faith-based systems, right? You got what's holy and what's unholy. You got what's right and you got what's wrong. And ultimately, both of those still fit the disciplined, undisciplined decision making, no matter how you do it. You
No
make
matter
an
how you look
unholy decision, it's undisciplined. Un is lack. Language is powerful. That prefix un, lack. So you already operating without. So how can you create or obtain or bring to you something healthy if you operating in lack? So if you have a negative experience, just like Adrian, she said on another comment, I like the fact that she's engaged like this too. Is that you got to take your mess and help somebody else. Like your story doesn't matter if you don't use it to help somebody else. You
real,
just went through it for no reason.
real
You
talk.
you you gotta give the story of redemption. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Self redemption.
Yeah.
Because you gotta forgive yourself, man. You know what I'm saying, for a lot of the mistakes that you make. Because ain't nobody else gonna come in and be able to see it.
Not at
They're not
all.
gonna know how you might still be wrestling with you know what I'm saying, your oversight and
Past.
judgment.
Man, come
Yeah,
on, say it, bro. Yeah, love it.
yeah. Like at some point you missed,
I did. Big to critically.
missed
Critically.
critically at
Critically.
critical junctions. We all have
Critically.
fumbled. We know what a fumble is, but we done fumbled.
Yeah.
So it's just the human journey of it all.
Absolutely.
And why, like, I always say this too. Like, wouldn't it be a shame to live in all the way into your 40s, your 50s, and can't nobody learn anything from you? What was you doing? Who did you help? What impact did you make? Because you know how many unhealthy people you got to go through just to get to this conversation, to the understanding to even have it, to 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 be able to understand what other people are struggling with every day and seeing it and knowing that they're not dealing with the right parts of themselves. That's why, like Adrian's comment about power and control, you know, it's about what do you do when you have these things? What do you do when somebody sprinkles resources on your character? What outcomes happen after that? What do you do? And that's why I say what you do when you got your own time. That's really who you are. So I think we got conversations like this are going to steer uh, better outcomes. You know what I'm saying, for people, because you ain't alone. Ain't nobody alone. So we got somebody. Jarrell Morris says TriStar Productions was rated by the feds for Lou Taylor and Diddy for having Britney Spears in S trafficking and having some jewelry stolen. Mm, man, like you see everything that swirls around the situation. Now everybody got something,
Yeah.
and the thing is, it could be true, and it could be completely false, but it doesn't it doesn't alter or reverse anything that's already taken place.
Right. And it doesn't do anything to provide a solution for our dilemma of what we
Nope.
face on a daily basis. And that's what I guess I'm a solution oriented person. I'm a
Yep.
solution oriented person, and I just feel like, but even to come up with the solution, you got to know it. You got to first be able to identify what's wrong, and that's what I can appreciate about this conversation, because I think that we have identified some areas that need some fixing, some things that are not quite right. Whether it's within ourselves, our male female counterparts, whether they're our communities or social media, whatever. I think you can't fix what you don't admit.
Hmm.
So
Man, so you got a new comment from my boy Cavi. Hang on, let me check you out.
thanks, Kyrie. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we got to get Cavi up here too, because like the conversation. Man, I had a chat with Cavi today. While I was handling some other tasks, because he's another content creator that he's not afraid to have conversations about like touchy topics, and we had an extensive conversation um about you know what's important in our community at this stage, right? And um I believe personally that rule number 5, when I was talking about sexual discipline, I'm going to always refer to the rules. When I talk about these things, I believe it's the core foundation of everything that's wrong in our society. Because like we talk about how our community doesn't come together, people don't come together, people don't trust each other. We talk everything about don't anything that got something to do with because like when you ask somebody, well, what we need to do to and everybody just says, well, we just need to come together. Well, how? And when the women don't trust the women, and the men not so not on the same sheet of music, then you got big disconnects between the men
Men and
that's in the,
women,
yeah,
men and
between men
women.
and women.
you
Yep. Yeah,
know,
between men and women.
yeah,
And like
real
just
talk.
like even on just the women's side, without men involved in y'all situations, y'all got your own things going on.
Too much, yeah,
And
drama.
then men got our own problems too, because there's a huge disconnect between the men that's in my age bracket that are 20 years younger than me, and then in the course of that conversation, the the main reality of it is that we're dealing with the fallout from single motherhood, really. Like the children that are born from single mothers are now competing with each other in unhealthy ways. We got people that's literally going against our own nature, just like when you talked about like the world feminizes men, and what I'm saying, it makes women more masculine or whatever. And that's true for people that can see it, point it out, and recognize it. Then there's a completely different demographic of men and women that's been raised in two-parent households that don't have the same problems. They still got problems, but they don't have the same dynamics. And so, which makes us, I believe, clones of one another. And because there's some things that is very important to you that I probably can't relate to, and then vice versa. And then at some point, we're not hearing each other when we start really, really conversing and trying to make sense of
Right.
each other's problems.
Well,
And
I want to say also, because you mentioned like the age groups and the time frames. I'm 53, and I
mm,
think we talked about how when drugs and crack and things like that were brought to the black neighborhoods, that was during the early 80s. And this is, they had already gotten the men out of the house by this
mm,
time with the social welfare system. That's what got the men out of the house. Then when they brought drugs to black neighborhoods, that really deepened the problem, because our men went to jail. They got big time behind small amounts of crack cocaine, which we had no which we had even no way to get into our community. So it was an agenda brought to our
Yep.
communities. But this was the very first time black women, black mothers were out of the house. So then we have a whole demographic of people that were raised by the foster care system, and grandma them or auntie them. We have that whole demographic that were missing mothers and fathers, and during that time, and I'm gonna especially speak for my children. And this, I speak for my children. I
Come
know
on now.
that
Come on now.
what happened to our children when they went to foster care was atrocious. You know, it was bad. That's why I say I know I've made critical mistakes. I've made critical mistakes. But I didn't know that when our kids went to foster care, that's where things that happened to our kids. And so those same kids are in society now. Those same
Yeah.
kids are the millennials that are in society now. And I told you I was gonna write this thing. I was working on and I didn't know what I was gonna end up in, but it was gonna be called "Where Are the Crack Babies?" Where are the crack babies?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you
Where are
briefly
they
talking about that.
now? Where are they now? You
Hmm.
know, because I would love to see what their lives are looking like, because these are all, like you said, every generation, and I like the way you said that time frame. Each time you can look at what dynamics are happening. So I take it back to my era. Like you said, and then after this, now you have a lot of the single parents. Now you have those younger single parents that are now doing it. But I came from the area where the era where I personally was one of the mothers that was taken out of the house, and my grandmother now, my auntie now, stood in the gap. And I know a lot of people in my era, even though they may not have been on drugs, they may not have been lost their kids, still they had grandma and auntie and uncle them, the village, to help them with their kids. So it's a lot. It gets deep. It gets
Yeah. It does.
deep.
And that's the thing. We're piecing back together the um lost conversations that we didn't have, elders in our families
Yeah.
that could communicate that. Like, I
Man, that's
know.
good. Oh, that was good right there.
Yeah,
That
like,
part right there.
because I was fortunate enough to not have to experience that, but it happened around me,
Yeah.
and we saw it. Like, we lived in it, but that wasn't our personal experience underneath the roof there. You know what I'm saying? That we
Right. But
lived
but
under.
but do you think that even though it wasn't your personal experience, that you were affected by someone else's because it was theirs? Because you went to
Um,
school with these people, you went,
yeah,
you know
I
what I'm
think.
saying? That's how we
Look,
affect each other in society.
I
Because
was
even
about
though
to
you might
say,
not have been the kid that did it, you got your kid. Like, we have parents that say, my kid doesn't do this. I know my kid, but you don't know who your kids are friends with.
yeah.
You don't know what.
Oh man, look, I know exactly what you're saying.
You know what
So,
I'm saying?
so
Yeah.
so let me give you an example of what you just said, right? And I'm
Okay.
gonna use a social media example.
Okay.
Okay, let's just say you got you ever work someplace where someone says, I don't look at social media, right?
Yes.
But then your supervisor or someone that's in, what I'm saying, up the chain in your information flow, what if they swear by it, right? They're going to be influenced by it in the things that they do every day. And eventually, whether you consume any social media or not, it's going to trickle down and impact you in some kind of way.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because that's just like saying, I don't drink, so I don't care if other people drink. Well, do you want the person that's operating your Uber or Lyft to be, what I'm saying, turning
Because
the
that
bottle up?
inadvertently it affects you.
But yeah, you don't want the pilot, what I'm saying, like, to incapacitated. You
Right.
you have reasonable expectations of your general safety. You know what I'm saying, and you know, people around you shouldn't be impacted by your vices. So the same is true when it comes down to things that aren't vices. If you cook a certain type of way, then the people that eat your cooking are going to experience the way that you cook your food. if you present yourself a certain type of way, they are going to adapt to the way that you present yourself. So they're either going to like you or they're not. So when you start thinking about whether you had to experience something firsthand or not, that's it doesn't even like that's secondhand smoke.
Right.
It's secondhand smoke. You can not smoke, but if you hang around people that smoke, you still gonna smell like smoke. It's the same thing.
Same difference.
So I think that these conversations help put the pieces into perspective, and it needs to be like done in a way where it's not about the blame game. You know what I'm saying? It's about, hey, everybody just acknowledge that this here.
Accountability.
When are we gonna now? Are we not smart enough to solve the problem? Are we not smart enough to separate the people that are here to help from the people that are here to hurt? Because we are the old people now.
That's right.
Like I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like we saw what our great grandparents and you know what I'm saying, and recent ancestors that have come and gone and what they endured. It was for us to learn from and not to stay there. We're not supposed to be preserving, you know what I'm saying, the hurt. We're supposed to overcome those scars. We're supposed to be able to say, there's a story that went with that.
Right. And we're
And
supposed to be able to pass that healing down to our offspring and their
right.
offspring.
Like I wrote something the other day, just a simple question. 3 things that we got the most control over, right? I wrote down obesity, racism, and sexual discipline. Which one of those can we control individually by ourselves?
Obesity and sexual discipline.
Yep, we can. If we fix those 2 things, we going in a whole different direction. Because when you work on yourself, you don't do the same things. Your taste buds change when you work on yourself. You don't go to certain places anymore. You know what I'm saying? You don't talk to people that put you back into those low energy spaces anymore, Because in our life, based on the way that we got here, we don't control racism. All we can do is control how we react to it, recognize it, and make better decisions around it. It's no different than a pothole on the same street that all of us drive past. You know what I'm saying? Like we've traveled on the same roads around in the general area where you know what I'm saying, where you and I are currently reside. We know what's going on W.S. Young. We know what's going on over off of the freeway, but you know what I'm saying, close to whatever particular store. Yeah, like, oh yeah, I almost ran over that same pothole. That's just what it is. Everybody's got something in their regular, every day-to-day dynamic that they have to account for, and that is no different. But the stuff that we can fix, we're not fixing it. We are blaming. We're focused on Diddy and Cassie and using them as an example, but you got Diddy's and Cassie's in your own families that won't listen to you. So if you can't affect the people in your own family, why are you even worried about what's going on, you know what I'm saying, like in mainstream media or whatever it might be? You got really simple issues that you can fix that is only becoming a big problem because you won't do the work. So I look at it like that. Like when you put it in those perspectives, the individual stuff, because that's the stuff that occupies the majority of most people's mind. They thinking about the next person they gonna lay down with, and how many pieces they gonna eat before they see them again. So we have to fix that part. That's a self-discipline thing. That's the first degree of accountability. You know what I'm saying? Handle you. And I'm not saying that you can't fall on a hard time. All of us deal with some form of depression, anxiety, or something like that. But if you really want to be here, that's just the pothole in your road. and you got to navigate it because everybody got them, and ain't nobody exempt.
I agree.
So that's the I'm gonna try something different tonight because I think we got a lot of engagement. I'm gonna put a number on in the chat, and people want to call in. I'm gonna take a few phone calls before we uh call it a night. Do you have a problem with that, Miss Titi Ladette?
No, I don't have a problem with it.
Do you have anything that you want to add to the conversation before while we wait on somebody to what I'm saying, take advantage of the opportunity to call the show? And
Well, I just want to say, I just want to thank you, Victor, for having me on and just for sharing and increasing my knowledge and sharing your knowledge with me. And I want to thank all my people uh,
man,
that
you got some
pulled
great people that
up.
showed up
Yeah, they
too.
pulled up, and thank
Yeah,
y'all like for pulling up. And again, my friend Michelle Grant, my cousin A Michelle, if they're here. I see a couple of other people. I need to go back in the chat, but I had a couple of other people pop in and out, and I just want to thank y'all for showing up, and just to your audience too. I want to say it was nice meeting y'all, nice kind of interacting with y'all, and if there are any women who would like to be a guest on my show, whether you're an artist, an author, or you an advocate, whatever you do, and you have a platform, if you'd like some advertising, some exposure, connect with me. So again, I'm TT Ladette. I'm Trina Cleveland on Facebook, but I'm TT Ladette. But you can hit me up at my website is ttladette.com. Okay, guys.
man, that's good to know, man. I gotta get you onto um Code Talk on Wednesdays, and um one of these days I don't know what I know what your availability is schedule wise. We talked about that already before. Um, but I want to get you over there and at least kind of like bring you in to be that feminine representative, because we got to be ambassadors for each other, you know.
Absolutely. And I want to
Um,
bring you on my platform too, King. And like I said, I've never had a male guest, but I would love to bring you on because we do a lot of girl talk over there, but we do need a male perspective.
yeah,
That's what make. I mean, we're not here on this earth by ourselves. We're not
no,
we're not doing anything by ourselves. So we definitely can benefit from each other. So again, I want to thank you a lot. This has been great and been wonderful. I appreciate you.
yeah. Look, I'm motivated to take the best of what we got to offer and package it the right way, because I like I personally started getting offended a long time ago when they say, like all men cheat. All men don't cheat, man. All men ain't focused on or don't prioritize sex the same way.
Right.
It is not they can't get it. It just don't prioritize. Hang on a second. We got somebody calling. Yo, yes, sir.
I can't hear.
Hang on a second. Like this is why well, we got to work through the tech issues. Let me see. Hey, Cabby, you there?
I can definitely hear you on my side.
Can you hear
I can
TT?
hear him. Uh-huh.
Okay, go ahead then, Cabby. Yeah, she there?
I can hear you.
I can't hear her on my phone, but I can hear her on my headset. I got my headset on the laptop.
Okay.
So, okay, she can hear me though. Okay, which is great. So that's the only thing that you're gonna have to work on with that thing. But yeah, TT, like I said, I listened to your poem, like I said, Your Face, and it was dope. And I'm assuming that poem came from a man that you at one time loved and you adored him. You know what I'm saying? And he hurt you apparently from cheating on you.
Yeah.
And reason why I wanted to talk about that is I wanted to talk about, one thing that Vic always talks about is he talks about sexual discipline, right? And that's one of the biggest aspects of sexual discipline for us men is we have to stop hurting our women in that way. because in a lot of cases, our women almost never recover from that. You know what I'm saying? I've never cheated on a woman, and I pride myself in never cheating on a woman because, I saw what it did with my father and my mother, and I saw the pain firsthand that it caused from my mother, for my mother. And I said to myself at that point, I'll never cheat on a woman because I saw that. I saw her crying. I saw her, stuck pretty much, on the sofa, just staring off in the distance. Couldn't break out of it, for days. So I saw it as a little boy. I won't say little boy, we'll say 15 years old. But, I saw 15 years old and I said to myself, nah, I can't do that to a person. So as far as a man cheating on a woman that she adores, that she loves, how does that impact you guys? What does it do to your mentality exactly? Can you explain that to the people watching?
Ooh, that's a good question,
I
Cam.
definitely can. The first thing I want to say is that you lose a lot. You lose you. You lose you. I lost me, and I think that's one of the things that you heard in the poem, and I talked about in the poem how I begin to eat my feelings, and I've developed an eating disorder in real time. I mean, I didn't say it in the poem, but happened in real life is I developed an eating disorder, and so what I began to do was I began to hurt me. I began to hurt me on top of hurt. So hurt people, and most of all, we hurt ourselves. So, but and I love what you said, because what you said was so right. Because not only did I hurt me, the people that my the group that I administer, who were my children, they suffered. They dealt with the effects. Man, that's such a that's a good question because it just brought up a lot for me because that is a big part. If you look at my story, in my book, in my play, in my videos, I'm a rapper. I got rap songs I've written, and it's always behind the hurt I've experienced from a man, how that trickled down into me hurting myself, and how that even played a big part in like my drug use and me looking for love and all the wrong places, and then always saying to myself, the right man is gonna come and fix it. The right man is gonna come and fix it. But it gets deep. It gets deep, and that pain is something like Victor said earlier. It trickles down, and it trickled down to my children, and what's so crazy, not just to my children, their children, and if we're not careful, their children's children. Because the things that I did that affected their lives, like the drug use, the abandonment issues. Now they got to go be the best mother that they can be to their children, working with a fractured foundation. So it cracked my foundation. It caused me to crack the foundation of the things that came behind me.
Mm. So the reason why I asked that question is because Vic and I were talking earlier, and he did make the point in saying it felt like the sexual discipline issue was the cornerstone or the foundation to all of our problems. I said it was one of the pillars because I believe in there's pillars that I believe in, but I won't get into that. So you're saying that either one man's actions or multiple men's actions that hurt you, and it basically hurt everything that you created in your children as well, because that hurt had to cycle through them as well.
Right. Well, again, my first experience with hurt, it was indirectly by a man, because if you know my story or if you've seen my story, there was an abuser that lived in my home when I was growing up. I was raised by my grandparents, and he molested a sibling, and everything he did to the sibling did to me. So as a result of his sexual undiscipline, we talking about how the cycle of hurt, how the cycle of abuse can destroy families. you know. And a lot of times, we don't talk about, what go on in this house, stay in this house, and a lot of times that'll get somebody killed too. So.
That right there is the sexual discipline conversation is like that's why I say, like what I say earlier, Cavi said church is sexually undisciplined. That's where people supposed to be going to go get healed and find some sort of protection. But every time you look up, it's something going on.
It's a
There's a
scandal.
scandal. There's
Right.
something pervasive, extremely promiscuous going on. You know what I'm saying when it comes down
Sexual
to
deviancy. You said
yep.
it. That's a
But
big.
and all of that is on that undisciplined side of thinking,
Yeah.
and like
Definitely.
the prey and the predators go worship the same people too. You know what I'm saying? Like hell, all of us went to like I went to church with people that sold drugs and shot up the community too. You know what I'm saying? Like
The
all of
sun
us,
shine on everybody.
yeah.
The
Nobody
sun
look. You know
shines
what I'm
on
saying?
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
go ahead,
like
Kevin.
I mean, you know, and also another question that I wanted to ask you, PT, is, my mother and I, we've always had deep conversations. And through those deep conversations, I got to know her better. You know what I'm saying? And she used to say a quote that, I didn't get as a kid, but, eventually I got it as an adult. And that was, if I could have did better, I would have did better, son. And I was like, okay, like, what is she saying when she's saying that? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I could have did better, I would have did better. She was saying in that moment, in that time, in that space, that was the best I could do. And my mother, in my opinion, was a great mother. You know what I'm saying? She was a great mother to me, but she felt like, she kind of neglected me in some ways. She overworked and worked 2 and 3 jobs at a time, didn't really, keep an eye on me. I got in a little trouble when I was a youth. And she still to this day feels guilty about that. And I assured her, hey, that wasn't on you. Although you feel like it was you, it wasn't on you. That was everything that I was doing. I was at that time, 13, 14 years old. I was coherent. I knew what the hell I was doing. So don't take that, So the question I have for you is, I understand that you said that you went through some issues with your kids. Have you guys gotten to talk that out? I mean, have you been able to explain your story to them?
oh man, this has been a lot. This has been they've been in the technically we've all been in the system almost all of our lives. So my kids have I've lost my children 5 times to CPS, which is what why I created my nonprofit initially was to help mothers get their kids back, and to walk them through that process. But it's always been about accountability though, because I'm a parent advocate. And my motto for my nonprofit is losing your kids is your business, getting them back is ours. But before and what I would tell my parents that even though they would call me to talk about CPS and what CPS is doing, we'll get CPS, we'll fight CPS, but first we're gonna fight the reason that they came, right? And one of the things you were talking about when you were talking about your mom and you were saying how she felt like if that saying if I could have did better, I would have did better. And I'm gonna tell you something, at some point that is true. I think for most people, for anybody, you can't ask somebody for $1 that only has 50 cents. I can only give you what I have. However, what I realized is that at some point I became aware that I wasn't giving my best. I wasn't doing the best that I could. I'm telling you, I became aware of it because what I knew is I wanted to tell people I'm doing the best I can, but it was really leave me alone so I can finish doing me. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not. I'm doing
Right.
the best I can. I'm doing the bare minimum is what I'm doing. But today I can honestly say, man, I can tell you I'm doing the best I can today. That today I can tell you that I am and mean that. And am I perfect at are things? My relationship with my children is still we're strange. Most of me and my children are strange, so I'm present and I'm here and I'm ready and I stay ready so I don't have to get ready because they will come back, and I have that kind of faith. And again, once you know better, you really are required, you really kind of are accountable or required to do better. But what I'm saying is once you do better, it gets better. It gets better. So
That's real powerful right there. It gets better.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I'm with the accountability thing, as Vic knows. I'm definitely about that. I'm not a victimization person, you know. However, it's like Vic and I, we talked about this early on when we first started discussing things. You know, when it comes to women and it comes to little girls to young ladies, you mentioned that, you know, you were molested and that you went through, or abused. I'm sorry, you didn't say molested, you said abused, but you went through those things as a little girl or a young lady. And it's like I told him, you know, that's a factor that as men we have to look at. We say, what's wrong with our women? What's wrong with our women? What's wrong with our women? There's this hidden story that ain't been told, you know, that we're looking at.
And
You know,
most and the statistics on that is
like
crazy.
this,
The
that they
statistics on that is
you know,
crazy.
and there's a reason for the actions that you see right here. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think we look at those actions that happen to you guys as significant as what it is. I can't imagine. I'm just going to be a little graphic at this point. I can't imagine being a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl and having a grown-ass man climb on top of me and have his way with me. And you know, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. I would imagine that would give me nightmares at night, every night. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's to that extreme. So, I mean,
And
it's a question to pick, you know. I mean, what do you suggest to women who are young girls and young ladies that went through that? I mean, or I want you to talk about this first, Titi, because you're a woman. But
Right.
if you could chime in as well, what do you suggest that you guys do if that happened to you? What's the steps in recovering and healing?
Well, the one thing I'm gonna say, man, is you got some good talking points. I might have to get you over here, Covey. I might have to go and open up a
Yeah,
whole platform.
yeah.
I'm loving this conversation, but yeah. So, basically, if you've been through this, if you have been through any sort of violation, I'm going to tell you something. Me and my cousin Adrian, who's actually on, we were talking about two new terms that are out now, and they always, society love to give these terms, right? But one is called, I think it's rejection abuse, where because you have women that can't even say no. I ain't gonna give you my number without somebody, without things happening to them, right? And
Correct.
then I'm not gonna say the word, but it rhymes with grape, but it's
Gotcha.
called consensual grape. And what that is, and I've been in these positions before
Hmm.
where I've been with men who were so aggressive, and so I was so scared that I was like, let me just go on and give them some because I know they're gonna take it. Consensual grape. So
Whoa!
so it is it because again, and I want to say this because we are the weaker vessel, and it's so crazy because Calvi, what we hear a lot is, y'all don't want to, not y'all, but men don't want to take accountability those stories, but they want feminine women. You know what I mean? And it's like you can't make me be a survivor and fight hard and then not get, because I'm the weaker vessel. If I'm the weaker vessel, then of course a man took advantage of me. Of course I didn't have to. Of course he overpowered me. Of course he had the upper hand. Even if I got a weapon, do you know if I got a weapon and he don't have one, he's still nine times more out of 10 likely to what do you call it when they take your weapon away? He'll disarm me.
Overpowering.
He'll disarm me because we are the weaker vessel. But so for women who have been through it, I'm going to suggest you get some counseling, get you some help, and do not, no matter what, do not get into a relationship until you have healed, until you are to a point
Uh,
where you have got some healing, because again, hurt people, and a lot of times what I found, and even in my situation, I went from the victim to the predator, you know from the I went from the hostage to the terrorist, so
Yeah,
to speak,
yeah.
like I did, and those things. But I also want to say to young women, with your girls and with your children, and with young kids, and not just girls. Listen, let me tell you something, because this happens with boys, and we don't think it happens with men because
Come
we think
on.
that's a notch on your belt. No, No, that's still like you said, Kabi, you a man and you said it. You said at 12 or 13, you said as a woman, but how about as a boy? How about as a boy? And we talk about how what we grow up to be. You know, you might think you get having experience with an older woman, but really a lot of that is molestation too.
All of it is
It
like
is.
Cabby and I. The conversation we had today was about like there's like I get consultation calls from men that are trying to overcome the abuse that they experience from the women in their own families,
Yeah.
and like it sets something off in those men and women. But specifically, we talk about the men right now. It makes them hypersexual. It makes them.
It does the
It,
same to women. It
yep,
does
it
the
does the
same
same
for
thing to women. It makes them, and that's what I was saying. But like, as far as like the men, it makes them more predatory than anything. You know, like we're watching stories where it's the norm where teachers are getting impregnated by their male students. Like, and nobody's upset. See, what I would like to see, the same way that the Me Too movement was put together, and they said time's up. Women need to do a Me Too movement for the women that are preying on boys.
Yep, absolutely.
Out of all the, like, if you can't
I
get together and
totally
watch the
agree.
WNBA, you can at least protect your sons.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And for women with small
Mm.
children, I'm gonna tell you, I'm the first thing I'm gonna tell you is always watch your children. Watch who you have your children around. Watch who you have your children around. Watch who you have your children around. Let me tell you something. If you dating a man and a man tell you look at your daughter and tell you she gonna be bad when she grow up, then he is not the one to date. You
Man, look,
know, he is not the one to date.
man,
You
like,
have to watch who you have around your children. A lot of men, I'm not going to say men, I'm going to call them predators. A lot of predators will see who you have in your household and connect with you just on based on what you have in your household.
man, Cabby, did we talk about this
And
earlier?
believe me, I'm a mother. I'm a mother, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. All my girls are beautiful. I have beautiful daughters, so I,
Yeah,
I had to be on, and I was already high risk, so I had
yeah,
to be extra super careful. And as a result, that's another reason my kids are so. They have a lot of resentment towards me because I was overprotective. I was super protective,
yeah,
but it's just because of those experiences. But yeah, if we don't have any more calls, I'm probably gonna have to jump off of here in a couple of minutes, King. I
yeah,
think we almost at the 2 hour mark. We got about 7 more minutes, so we had 2 hours. So
yeah. I left it for like I left a 2 hour window just in case because I knew it was gonna be a good conversation, and and I wanted to give a chance to the audience that hung out with us tonight because Cabby's on the East Coast, so
absolutely.
it's almost 11 o'clock with you, right? So, uh,
Yep. 10:53.
yes, sir. So, hey, brother, I appreciate you calling in. You know, I'm gonna reach out and we'll follow up because I know we got something that we got to work on, and I want to. Matter of fact, all three of us probably gonna need to get like on a video call, and put together something, because this is a conversation in itself. This topic could go,
Good deep.
what I'm saying, for
Yeah.
this. So, hey, Kevin, I'm gonna let you go, man. I appreciate you. Say good night.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Nice to meet you, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.
You're a beautiful person, beautiful personality. I enjoyed talking to you tonight, and I look forward to talking to you in the future, sister.
Likewise, King. Likewise.
All right, bro. All right, now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get us closed out for the night.
Okay, I just wanted to mention because Brandon is over here going
Yeah.
ham in the comments. So I don't know if you
Oh,
want to
yeah, I
just
see. I
acknowledge
see.
him. He going ham over here, so you may want to just kind of acknowledge him as well.
Yeah, let me, Brandon, what's going on, man? I see all your comments and stuff. It's about men being blamed, temperament control, um, women being given the green light, operating in feminine masculinity, and talking about how that plays into the image of the WNBA. From everything that I could dissect from the comments, we are in a very complex time about the image of both man and woman. We are at such a crossroad where gender identity conversations and identity politics are putting people in certain boxes, whether we want to accept it or not, and we're just trying to maintain, our own narrative and identity, in that same mix, because let people evolve the way they want to evolve. And what we need to do is just always be conscious of the people that care about the same like-minded, ideals.
Absolutely.
Because I think the number one path, I think the fastest path to peace is minding your business. And when you do that, you can defend your own space even better. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not wasting energy trying to figure out what other people are doing, And I think that when we have these types of conversations where everybody is pretty much on the same sheet of music, it transfers, to another layer of confirmation about who you are as a person, because you're attracting, the people that reflect the way you feel about yourself at this stage. Because to go into conflict with people that we don't care about or don't share the same morals with, that's a choice. That's an undisciplined decision. Everything at the end of the day comes down to what you plan to commit to, and the first commitment got to be to self. So with that being said, I really appreciate Titi Ladette. I really appreciate you for, I can't say it enough because I'd stay on all night if I had to. But to everyone else that pulled up, I appreciate you. There will be another cast tomorrow for Code Talk. We're gonna finally pick up that episode about what does it look like when you sell your soul. And
I might have to. I'm gonna chime in on you.
I'll send it out when I set the link up, but I will be in contact.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here and let you close out your show. Thank you again for having me.
Well, shoot, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the outro so you can see it live.
Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and hit the like button and follow. Please leave your feedback in the comments. Make sure you hit up the super chat, leave a donation to support the platform. Yo chick make you mad, my chick make me a sandwich. Yo chick make you mad, my chick make me a sandwich. Go cop the shirt, visit the merch store, shop with Accountable Masculinity, and support the platform. Men have